The Houston Rockets are dead, and they have me contemplating a major life decision. Plus, how screwed are the Houston Astros right now? Chandler Rome of The Athletic is going to tell us, and we're going to react live to whatever the Houston Texans do tonight during the 2026 NFL Draft. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast for Thursday, April 23rd of 2026. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
Grow up, mother. Are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi!
Hey! Oi! Oi!
Zigzag, zigzag, oi, oi, oi.
Welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. We are live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. We're on Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow, but I'd appreciate a sub. We're on X or Twitter at Gallant Says, at Gallant Says Pod. Give me a like, give me a follow if you so could. We're on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Like and follow. We're on Instagram at Sports Gallant. Like and follow. And we're on TikTok at Gallant Says. Like and follow. We'll incorporate your comments into the show as it goes along. It's available after the fact in podcast form as well. Subscribe and 5-star me. Look for the Gallant Says podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. All right, folks. Rockets-Lakers shouldn't be done, but it's done. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it for another second. I don't know if I want to watch basketball anymore, and I grew up a Celtics fan. Part of this has to do with the fact that the Celtics did lose their most recent game to the Philadelphia 76ers, but I'm bringing it back to the Rockets. This thing is so done. And it's pretty incredible that it's done, because the Rockets got the best possible matchup that they could in this series. No doubt about it. Yes, LeBron James is playing. And yes, LeBron James is playing at a very high level. Still, he's in his 40s. Luka Doncic, their best player, he's hurt. He hasn't played yet. Who are these other guys on the Lakers? Marcus Smart's there, for Christ's sake, now? Rui Hibachi Benihana? You've got Bronny James getting actual minutes. They don't even have Austin Reeves out there. It's a bunch of people you barely recognize. And sure, they had a good season, all things considered. They're the 4 seed. The Rockets are the 5 seed. This series is coming back to Houston. There's still a chance the Rockets win or something, I guess. But this team, the Rockets, has been such a disappointment. And thankfully, we're so used to disappointments with Houston sports that it's not like this is our first disappointment in a while. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where the 2023-2024 Houston Texans led to the 2024-2025 Houston Texans, were a super disappointing team, and then they followed it up with another disappointing season, even though they were out in the second round both of those years. But last year with the Rockets was fun. They were the 2 seed. You didn't expect it. Hey, they played the Warriors. They gave it their best. They didn't really have a clue offensively. Jalen Green stunk in that series. Alperen Şengün, it was his first playoff series. He also stunk, but Draymond Green gave him some props afterwards. Fred VanVleet was awesome. All right, next year you got Fred VanVleet. Ooh, you trade for Kevin Durant. You should go further this coming season. Well, VanVleet gets hurt before the season begins. That shouldn't end things. You got a guy in Reed Shepherd who you believe in, right? Well, I mean, let Reed Shepherd do the thing that you were hoping that Fred VanVleet do? Oh, wait, you didn't want to do that because Fred VanVleet is, a lot better at defense than Reed Shepherd or something like that. I don't know. Ime Udoka's stubborn, but this season, as it has gone along, if you've been watching these games, and I don't have a daily radio show anymore, so I'm not watching as many games as I used to, and I'm so thankful for that. Imagine watching this team every single night. They play basketball on offense like they're in college. It's awful to watch. There's no movement. There's no design. There's no nothing. I don't know much about basketball. I don't know much about the design side of things, but good God. I know that that's bad. I know that it's uncreative. I know it leaves a lot to be inspired. So this whole year, we're just stuck. We're held hostage by a bad stand-up comedian who at this point has figured out, okay, I'm bombing. I'm just going to bomb hard. And they bomb harder and harder and harder and harder. Oh! This is torture. Watching this team. Where are we at as far as the torture? Is it waterboarding? Is it nipple twisting? Is it the thing where they take the pliers and they rip your fingernails off? Is it a punch to the balls? Is it a firm grasp of the balls? Is it whatever Theon Greyjoy went through? At least Ramsey Bolton made that an entertaining thing, I guess, if you're a sicko, like the Boltons are with their flayed man banner. I hate watching this. I still feel obligated to watch this for you, not for me, for you, so I can talk about it, so I can rant about it, so I can be the voice of you. Oh. And the worst part about it, am I the only person who's sick of hearing these two words? Young core. Oh my God. The next time I hear someone say that, I feel like I should be allowed to make them walk down a street of Legos, just all strewn on the floor, and maybe even some broken glass. Like, you should have to go through some punishment if you talk about, well, the Rockets' young core, it's really got a lot of upside. I get it. Things can theoretically get better. Players can continue to improve. But you look at those contracts, and then you look at the big problem for this young fucking core. It's that there's other young cores who are younger and are better already. The Rockets, young core. Reed Shepard's 21. Jabari Smith's 22. Amen Thompson's 23. He can't shoot. Alperen Şengün's 23. He can't make a basket right underneath the hoop, even though he's a huge man. Tari Eason's 24. He can't catch a fucking pass. Is his mom going to tweet at me for saying this on the show? Their average age of this 5-man young core, and you would think if you have 5 people in your young core, that's going to make you better. The average age is 22.6. Do you know what the Spurs is? The Spurs young core with Dylan Harper, not the porn star, 20. Stephon Castle, 21. Victor Wembanyama, 22. And if you want to add Carter Bryant, 20. They have 2 guys who can't drink, 1 guy who just learned how to drink or was allowed to drink. I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say here? No one drinks anymore, which, whatever. Their average age, these youngins, is slightly less than 21. If you want to include Carter Bryant. And hell, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the best player in the NBA, arguably, in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with Chet Holmgren, who's 22, he's 23. Carson Wallace, 22. Jalen Williams is 25. I mean, their average young core, big age is slightly older than that of the Rockets, but these guys are light years ahead of Houston with all the tanking that they did and with all the draft picks that they brought. But the young core. Yeah, the young core. I'm so sick of hearing it. Those two terms. Started with the Steven Silas era where everyone seemed to look the other way. Accountability, what the fuck's that? Just let them go have fun outside. They're like absentee dog parents. Oh, he never does that. He never does that. He never knows how to create an offense despite having one of the greatest all-time shooters. Kevin Durant misses game 1. Kevin Durant's questionable for game 3. Kevin Durant in the first half of game 2 was perfect. I don't know how things went in the second half, but I know that everyone's talking about afterwards how people started trapping him and the Rockets offensively couldn't do anything around him. That's a problem. That's on the coach. but it's also on the players. I am done with Alperen Şengün. Done. Oh, the refs. After he misses a 2-foot layup. Oh, I got touched. Oh, what's going on here? I mean, between the ineptitude from close range and the complaining and the whining, I'm concerned for Turkey's national security. Think about it from this perspective. Say you're in the Middle East and there's a country that's doing a lot of things. Not that that's necessarily happening right now, but there's a country who's doing a lot of things. And maybe you don't have the best relationship with, let's say, Turkey. Oh, there's an Alperen Şengün from Turkey. Imagine if Turkey's Michael Jordan is looking like this in the playoffs again. Because he did this in the series against the Warriors last year, too. He couldn't make a fucking thing close to the hoop. Draymond Green gave him credit after the series. But now, in retrospect, I'm wondering if that was some sort of mind game that Draymond was playing. I'm done with Şengün. Package him for anything. Specifically, a star player of Giannis Antetokounmpo's caliber, but done with him. And heaven forbid a certain aggressive country realize that a country that they don't have the best relationships, best athlete is Alperen Şengün. I'm done with Tari Eason. All-time disastrous contract year. I'll give him credit for betting on himself, but get that man some stickum. How many passes did he drop? Was it 3? He had that late one. He looked like I sometimes do when I'm playing flag football, to be perfectly honest. Every now and then I'll have games where the hands aren't working so well. Between Tari, his mom, out. Out on them. Other guys I'm done with. Rafael Stone, the most undeservedly cocky man in American sports. Not too long ago, people were starting to give him credit because he stumbled into Alperen Şengün, and Jalen Green was, at the very least, scoring a lot of points in the regular season, and Tari Eason looked like a potential 6th man of the year, and was getting Kawhi Leonard comparisons or whatever from Ime Udoka, blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, this is a guy who I've always said was unqualified to have that gig. He's the general manager of the Rockets? How? Because he was like down the hall from Daryl Morey when Morey left? They just gave him the job? Huh? How is he qualified? It's like a D3 basketball player. There's a book a friend of mine wrote about that, like the D3 to NBA connection. Okay, whatever. Sure, fine, splendid. But, let's bring it back. How does Rafael Stone have this job? He's a terrible public speaker. Blame the Rockets PR for not doing a good job of getting him prepared, which is, I'm sure, what Rafael Stone would do. Throw somebody under the bus for not being a good public speaker. But, I mean, go back to the trade deadline where he says, given the number of injuries we've taken, one thing we did look at was, was this just not our year? Because we do kind of feel, leading into today, that we've had some of the worst injury luck in the NBA. But credit to Ime Udoka and the guys in here, our record doesn't really reflect that. But what do the visuals reflect? Because in the regular season, there's a lot of teams that don't give a shit because the NBA's regular season is arguably the biggest waste of time in all of American sports. I mean, shit, the last 2 months are unwatchable. So they had a good record. I mean, they were the 2 seed last year with no offense as well. But it was fun because it was new. He was asked about those comments not too long later, and afterwards he said, I regret the comment because I'm aware enough to know that multiple people have taken it out of context and used it extraordinarily inappropriately. How inappropriately? What are you talking about? How is that inappropriate? Please elaborate. What was inappropriate about it? Let us know. This is not inappropriate. It's someone using your words against you, and you don't like the way they're being used against you, softy. Blah. He said shame on them in the quote right afterwards. But so, because of that, I regret it. The concept behind it I still agree with, which is that this team has been super competitive all year, defensively, when Ime Udoka's not calling him out as soft after the game. And I'm happy for them and happy with the overall group's progress, blah, 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 blah. Well, there's been no offensive progress. I'm sick of Dorian Finney-Smith. I forgot that Jayshawn Tate is still on this team. I'm even getting sick of Ime Udoka. But hey, at the very least, it didn't imply that the Rockets were soft boys after Game 2. I still disagree with all the people that think that bringing James Harden in here would make things better, but I say that because I would not be able to root for a James Harden-led team again. I don't have a strong counter argument to those people other than, hey, just wait until Game 3, Game 4, Game 5 of James Harden in a playoff series when he starts to get a little bit tired. Wait until round 2 when there's less days in between games to see how James Harden looks. His stamina is great during the regular season. It does not work out so well in the playoffs. People have been saying that Jalen Green's a better fit. They should have kept Jalen Green, not traded Kevin Durant. I mean, I don't care what Green's doing with the Suns if the Suns are losing by fucking 40 points to the Thunder. I just don't, but people are making that argument. Kevin Durant's here. Kevin Durant might not play in Game 3. And everything that Kevin Durant's burner, allegedly, everything that they said was right. Although, maybe the terminology is not right. Maybe it's below the belt. Maybe it's inappropriate. But Kevin Durant's burner on Alperen Şengün. Your franchise player can't shoot or defend. That's a way bigger issue than my turnovers. He implied frustration with the shit-ass team. He noted these guys are your future, the young core. Is that wrong? On Jabari Smith, I can't trust Jabari to make a fucking shot or get a stop. Called him low-key the R word and said that he's seriously in his head. Huh. Interesting. That he's not mentally strong as well. And on the Rockets as a team collectively, he referred to them as a shit-ass team and called some teammates crayon eaters. What does crayon taste like? Never had one. I believe that is another way to imply that someone is the R word. Interesting. Do I even want to look at what was said after Game 2? How Kevin Durant's talking about the double teams he's getting. How Jabari Smith is saying Kevin Durant needs to help them out when he's getting those double teams. About Ime Udoka actually calling out the offense for a change instead of saying, yeah, we played like a bunch of bitches. No, I don't. I don't know that I even like basketball anymore. The Rockets are making me dislike basketball, and this is a playoff team, and there are worse NBA cities for sure, and that's a problem for the sport as a whole. But miss me with the words young core, okay? And I guess I'm going to have to make a decision the rest of these playoffs about how much I really want to watch the NBA. It's just tough to watch. It really is. You know what else is tough to watch? Your Houston Astros. Earlier today, I caught up with the Athletics' Chandler Rome. We talked about the way that things have been looking for the Astros to this point this season. I think we would all agree that it's been bad. Very bad. Very bad indeed. You know? Hasn't been good. That's for sure. So, what gives? Can they turn this thing around? What's next for our beloved Houston Astros? He said as he continued to filibuster, hoping that at some point soon, the video would actually load. So here he is, Chandler Rome of The Athletic. Chandler Rome is hanging out with me, your boy, Paul Gallant. He said super slowly for effect because he was trying to load things for the actual podcast. and he didn't have it preloaded all ready to go. And ultimately, that meant for a worse experience for everyone who was watching the show. Here we go. Here, everybody, is the man, the myth, the legend, Chandler Rome. Chandler Rome is the Astros beat writer for The Athletic. He co-hosts the Crush City Territory podcast. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. How fucked are the Astros right now?
It's not great. It's not what you want. It could be worse. You could be the Phillies. You could be the Mets. You could be the Red Sox, all of whom have higher payrolls than the Astros. So, misery loves company, I guess. And it's been interesting because like all of like the national just outrage and just admonishment has come on those teams. And so I guess like the Astros awful start has kind of gone like unnoticed nationally because the Phillies and the Mets and the Red Sox have been so bad. But I probably have more hope for those teams than I have the Astros, only because like I don't know where the help is coming from for the Astros, especially on the pitching side. They've found a couple things maybe in Cleveland in the last week or so that are going to help short term, but long term, like they need Hunter Brown back. They need Josh Hader back. They need Tetsuya Imai to pitch like a guy that they're paying $20 million. And like, I don't know when any of those things are going to happen. And I fear that when all of those three guys are back, it may be too late, that they may already be in a hole that's too deep to climb out of.
They've had bad injury luck again. It does make you wonder about their process this offseason. They replaced head trainer Jeremiah Randall, who had some good years, no doubt about it. There were some real questions about return to play. Is it fair to point fingers for the amount of injuries that have happened thus far?
Not only did they replace Jeremiah Randall, they hired a new director of sports medicine and performance. They hired a new strength and conditioning coach. And, they elevated Eric Velasquez to replace Jeremiah Randall. He was formerly the assistant athletic trainer. They hired a new assistant athletic trainer from outside the organization. So they have three different sets of eyes, sets of viewpoints. I'm not a medical expert, so I don't want to sit here and tell you how long those things take to take hold, how long new medical philosophies and thoughts and processes take to enact. But it's a bad look. I don't know if you can say that Jeremiah Randall is vindicated. I don't know if you can say that the past regime is vindicated because like they keep getting injured even after they made all these changes. But I wish I could talk more like authoritatively and more like and intelligently about this, but like every time we ask anything about any of this, it's just we get shut off and it's no comment and we're not going to talk about it. So you're left to look at what's going on, and they have 16 players on the IL right now. Like that's a lot, and not all of it is honest. Like obviously, not all of it is. Some of it's like just freak stuff. Like Jake Myers hurt his oblique taking a swing. Joe Luperfido was running down the line and his quad pulled. Taylor Trammell strained his groin, pivoting too hard on the secondary lead. Some of this is just like, this happens. Like guys get hurt. Like this is baseball. But obviously, like there's something here that they have got to address. And I don't know if, the new director of sports medicine is in the process of addressing it and it just hasn't, taken hold or taken effect publicly yet. But they got some real issues, and I wish I could sit here and tell you what the solutions are, but I can't.
I've got one. It's not going to fix the injuries, but you mentioned the word address. How about the doctors address people instead of Dr. Dana Brown saying very cryptic things about Hunter Brown, about Christian Javier? Like that would be a start.
Well, it's funny. Like they've clearly changed some of just how they're communicating things. Like you have not seen the word discomfort at all this year. We're getting like specific grades of like this is a grade 2 strain, and they're being quicker with like more specific diagnoses. But you can also tell that they are not at all putting timelines on anything. Like in the official announcements. And then, Dana will let it slip every now and then that, oh, maybe by this date. But officially and by and large, they're not committing themselves to any timeline. So you can tell that they have, at least in the, I don't know if it's like PR, I don't know if it's the coaching staff, the training, I don't know who has put their heads together and decided that they had to change how they communicate the injuries, but they obviously have done that. But it hasn't helped much. They still have 16 guys on the IL.
As long as when some of these guys come back from injury and Dana Brown doesn't say that they're like trade deadline acquisitions, I'll be moderately more happy. But at this moment, it is pretty crazy what they're going through. You had posted a couple of days ago when they were 8-15, and only 7 teams in Major League history had a start like this and made the playoffs, and the last one were the 24 Astros. And I mean, it's pretty clear this team is worse than that team, right? Especially without Framber Valdez and other changes that have happened since then.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the faulty logic in using the 2024 team as kind of a rallying cry, right? Like if you remember that season, like Josh Hader was healthy and got off to just a terrible start. Like you knew that he wasn't going to pitch that poorly all year. Alex Bregman, who is not on the team either, he got off to one of his trademark slow starts. Kyle Tucker didn't have a great beginning to that year. He's also no longer on this team. Framber Valdez needed an IL stint early in that season, but he's no longer on this team. That was when also Hunter Brown at the beginning of the year was a mess. That was the year that he added the sinker and he kind of transformed himself. So when you just start to look at, like, that was a better roster. Like, that was a better collection of talent. And that team wasn't injured. That team was just guys that were not performing that but you knew, like, in the back of your head, like, Josh Hader's not this bad. Alex Bregman's not this bad. Kyle Tucker's not this bad. At that time, you probably thought Hunter Brown was that bad, but he turned it around and got better, obviously. But this team, like, it's just not as talented of a group. It is not as deep of a roster. It's, they don't have a ton of reinforcements behind it, as you've seen with some of the guys they've had to call up to get through this kind of injury run. This is not as talented of a team, and it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to come back. And I think another thing people don't remember about 2024 either is, the Astros chased down the Mariners, but the Mariners came down to the Astros level. That was an epic choke job by the Mariners. They threw away a playoff spot in the division. They fired Scott Service, obviously, that year too. So, I don't envision that happening this time around, but I mean, the American League West right now is a complete disaster. So if there's some solace that the Astros fans can take from this start, it's that, like, no one has separated themselves in the AL West. Like, it's not as if the Astros are, 12 games out like they were in 24. Like, they're still in it. Like, you just keep stacking and winning series. It can get better. But if you look at their schedule coming up, I'm not sure how many of these series that I feel confident in them winning.
Yeah, starting with the Yankees this weekend. And to your point, the Mariners are off to a bit of a slow start as well. And piggybacking off of what you had mentioned in 2024, it took the Mariners falling apart to get the Astros into the playoffs. I mean, take a look at last year. I was joking on the radio show I was doing at the time all season long. God wills it. I have no idea how rando after rando, no offense to them, kept on coming up through the minor leagues and then put in an impossible spot start. These guys were performing. So this year, all of a sudden, I don't know if they were thinking that they were going to be able to catch lightning in a bottle for the second straight year, but the pitching has just been disastrous. And mentioned before, Framber's gone. You bring in some new guys. Mike Burrows, who you pointed out, has been unbelievably unlucky. Tatsuya Imai, I don't even know what to say about Imai, especially how he sounded coming into this season and how he sounds talking about pitching in 64-degree weather and not feeling like he's acclimated to the major leagues. The pitching being what it is, to say that you maybe expected it going into the year, I don't know if anyone could, just given the Astros track record with pitching. And we had talked about that this offseason. They have a great track record when it comes to getting their guys to do their absolute best. But between the injuries and the actual what we've seen to the point where Brian Abreu's borderline unplayable, I am flabbergasted by how bad the pitching has been, especially when last year so many guys were able to find ways to step up.
Yeah, I thought they were going to pitch it pretty well. I really did. And I think, when I came on last time I was on, I think I told you, I think they're going to pitch it really well just because I inherently and blindly trust their pitching infrastructure, their pitching coaches. They're very good at what they do. But you got to call a spade at this point. Like, this is the worst pitching staff in baseball. And, look, I mean, any staff is going to struggle when you lose a reigning Cy Young finalist, right? Like, Hunter Brown's irreplaceable. Like, within the organization, outside the organization, he's irreplaceable. Like, they couldn't, that's tough. That's a tough one to lose. But, Dana Brown, throughout the winter and throughout in spring training, kept reiterating and, praising the fact that they went out and they signed 6 pitchers this offseason. They went and signed those 6 pitchers. 4 had starting experience. 4 of them, they wanted to be starters. I haven't done the math since the Cleveland series, but entering the Guardians series, the 6 pitchers that Dana Brown acquired, 2 major league deals, 2 major league whether trades or major league deals, the 6 pitchers that he acquired heading into that Cleveland series had a 5.67 ERA. Like, let's just call it like the additions have not been good. Like, they have not, like, Rodri Munoz is no longer on the team. He's obviously in AAA. Nate Pearson hasn't appeared for the team yet, so those 2 aren't there. But, like, I mean, Tetsuya Imai at this moment, it doesn't look good. It's April 23rd, so things can always get better. But, like, Ryan Weiss has not. He's not looked great. The one that you have to give him credit for, Kaiwei Tang, has been incredible. And that should tell you kind of the state of the pitching staff that we're here lauding like a middle reliever for being incredible, but he has been. He's been very good. But just the thing that you can't ignore, they've got 5 guys that have thrown at least 16 innings for them. So their top 5 guys in innings pitched have all thrown at least 16 innings. 4 of them have an ERA of 6.19 or higher. The top 3 guys that have the guys that have thrown the 3 most innings for them this year are Mike Burrows, Lance McCullers, and Ryan Weiss. Mike Burrows is a 6.75 ERA. Lance McCullers is a 6.20. Ryan Weiss is a 6.50. Like, it again, like, I think there's some things to like about Mike Burrows. He's been incredibly unlucky. I know no one wants to hear that when he has a 6.75 ERA, but it's true. Like, he's been very unlucky. You would think there is going to be some sort of a regression to a mean there. Spencer Arrighetti has looked pretty good in his 2 starts since he's come up. Peter Lambert is getting 42% swing and miss rate through 2 starts, which you don't do that by accident. Like, there's something there. So if you squint real hard, you can see where it could get better. You can see where it could stabilize, but that's a lot of ifs, right? If Mike Burrows regresses to kind of more of a medium, a mean, if Peter Lambert, who hadn't pitched in the big leagues in 3 years, if he can keep this swing and miss stuff going, if Spencer Arrighetti can be around the zone enough to not, be as inefficient as he's been at times, if Lance McCullers can give you some consistency, like, it's a lot of ifs there. And I don't know that you want to be preying on hope, but the Astros, that's all they got right now.
It's the biggest 2-letter word, if. So yeah, all these arms, lots of questions about them. Who's been the biggest disappointment to this point? Brian Abreu, woof. Imai, to me, I think I'm pointing to him because hopefully something's getting lost in translation, but those quotes do not look good. Talking about what he thought baseball was going to be, talking about pitching in breezy 64-degree weather. I mean, shoot, the Astros always close their roof. I know you're going to have a feature about that at some point this weekend. Bro, it's air conditioning. What are we talking about here? For you, who's been the most disappointing?
It still probably has to be Brian Abreu. Obviously, I think we'll talk about Imai a little bit later, and I'll give you my full thoughts as to why I probably wouldn't put him there. But, I mean, Brian Abreu, this is something that I don't think anyone saw coming. Like, and how could you, right? This had been from 2022 to 2025, like, any metric you want to look at, like FIP, ERA, WHIP, anything, like ERA plus, like any like advanced stat you want to look at. This was a top 10 reliever in baseball for 4 seasons. Like, and relievers, it is the most volatile position in the sport, right? Like, you can be a really good reliever one year and be terrible the next. That's just how the position works. There's always turnover. There's always, flux going on there. That's what made Brian Abreu such a rare figure, is that for 4 years, he had been a top 10 reliever in baseball. And it has just gone unfathomably bad this season. And, he's got a 14 ERA. It's at a point where like his roster spot, like you have to question why he remains on the roster, only because it's putting the rest of their pitchers in peril. Like he has pitched twice in the past 8 days. We're talking on April 23rd. He's pitched twice in the last 8 days. And they're essentially running a 7-man bullpen, which means they are pushing the 7 relievers that they want to throw. They're pushing them to levels that are just kind of dangerous at this point in the year. Like Kaiwei Tang got 7 outs on April 21st. Like that's not supposed to happen. Jade Murray threw 40 pitches. Brian King threw 40 pitches in an outing. And Angel De Los Santos is getting 4 and 5 outs. AJ Blueball is going back to back and throwing multiple innings. Like they're going to feel this later in the year. Like they may not feel it now, but later in the year, they're going to feel this. And don't want to put it all on Brian Abreu. It's not Brian Abreu's fault that they're 10-16, but and I'm not even saying if he was healthy and if he was, pitching well that they would be any better or worse. But it's just, when you look at disappointing players, like he has to be atop the list. And I don't know what to tell you is wrong with him. His fastball velo is down about 2 miles an hour. Everyone insists that he is healthy. He says he's healthy. Joe Espada says he's healthy. They keep saying it's mechanics. Brian Abreu I don't know if you saw his interview after his Cardinals appearance, but it was pretty candid and pretty sad because, he said he just doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself right now. He's questioning everything. He's questioning himself on the mound and between pitches. Bear in mind, too, this is a guy that's scheduled to enter free agency after this season. Yeah. He has put, I hate to be so crass, but he's really cost himself a lot of money these first 9 outings. And you have to think that that's weighing on him too. Just the thought of like, every time he goes out there, I don't know, I can't crawl into his head and say that this is what he's thinking, but that's gotta be a tough burden to have on you too, when you're just, man, like I'm costing myself money every time I go out here. So I don't know what the solution is. He's got more than 5 years of major league service time, so he has to consent to being optioned to the minor leagues. As far as I have not gotten any indication that the Astros have even brought that up to him. I can't imagine he would say yes, especially in a platform year. Why would you do that? Yeah. We can talk about the guy that they have on the IL right now with no apparent injury. So it is possible to put a guy on the IL without having a distinct injury. So maybe that's the way they do it. Or maybe they just decide to rip the Band-Aid off and say, you know what, like we've got to pitch him at some point. Like let's throw him out here and see what happens. But when you're 10-16 and have a manager in the last year of his contract, that's a tough sell.
I respect that Abreu's been honest. The big pet peeve of mine when a pitcher after a rough outing, I don't care if he's right, says, I thought my stuff was good. No, please stop. Let's talk about the guy who's on the injured list without a designation. I will say that when I asked artificial intelligence to put together a bullet point list of everyone who was injured, that Tatsuya Imai per Grok has arm fatigue. So we do have a little bit of fatigue going on at the very least. What's happening? What do you know? How concerned should we be?
So this is a nuanced discussion to have because I think anyone that thought Tetsuya Imai was going to come here and it was going to be a seamless transition, I think that was misguided logic from day one because you had 2 parties involved in this that had never done this before. Tetsuya Imai obviously never pitched in MLB, never pitched in the United States. And the Astros have never signed a player, much less a pitcher, straight from NPB. So you have 2 parties that have never done this before. There was always going to be a learning curve. There was always going to be some bumps in the road. The problem is when Hunter Brown gets hurt, when Christian Javier gets hurt, when Brian Abreu's a mess, when Josh Hader's hurt, that really does 2 things. One, it intensifies the need for Tetsuya Imai to a guy that you're paying $18 million and a guy that, you kind of, you did not expect him to be your ace. You didn't even expect him to be a 2, but you expected him to kind of be a mid-rotation, back end of the rotation starter. And that is what they need. Like, they just need stability in innings. And when you have all those guys out, it really intensifies the pressure on Imai to be that guy. And it's pretty clear that he's not ready to be that guy yet. Also, what it does is it takes away any kind of thought of, oh, let's do it slowly. Let's bring him along slow. Like, we'll let him like dictate a lot of, like, no, like, that's out the window. You're 10-16. Your manager's in the last year of his deal. Your GM's in the last year of his deal. Like, they are working for their jobs at the moment. And we've passed the point of like, let's be delicate, let's be gentle, and let's hear each other out. Like, no, they can't afford to do that anymore. So, as far as what's wrong, look, if there is something wrong with his arm, if there is something structurally wrong with his arm, they either have not found it or they have not told us. Because every time we have asked about imaging, everything we have heard from Imai and from Joe Espada is that everything came back clean. Everything came back positive. If there's any inflammation, if there's anything going on, they have either not told us or they have not found it. So I think if anything, that has to give at least some positivity here that he's not hurt. That sure, there may be some fatigue, there may be some dead arm, but he is not injured. Like, this is not a structural issue. But he was pretty candid, or his interpreter was pretty. We can get into the semantics of this because it was not a traditional interpreter the way the interview went. Normally when you watch, it's Otto Lord this year, it was Jenloy Herrera in the past. Like, when you've watched the Astros Spanish language interpreters on television, they interpret as if they are the player. So when Yordan Alvarez gives an answer, Otto Lore will say, I saw this very well. He's speaking from his point of view. I pronouns, first person pronouns. Tetsuya Imai's interpreter does not do that. He just kind of summarizes what Tetsuya Imai says and uses he, him pronouns. So when we ask the question, it's he says he can't adjust to American life and he can't adjust to this, and he doesn't like when his dinner's served, things like that. And so it's tough to even attribute those quotes to Imai. So I'm going to go ahead and just, until things change and until this interpreter is interpreting as he should, I'm going to attribute the quotes to him. So Imai's interpreter is saying that he can't adjust to Major League life, he can't adjust to American life. And look, I sympathize with him immensely. And I understand there's plenty of people listening to this that are going to roll their eyes and say, he's making $18 million, who cares? Like, sack up and play, essentially, is I assume what the counter to that would be. For me, I can't imagine being in a place where you don't know the language, you don't know the culture. This is a complete culture shock being here. Houston is not a place that has a huge Japanese population. This is not like, we have many different cultures here. We have this is a melting pot of people here in Houston. There's not a huge Japanese presence here. But at the same time, Tetsuya Imai did go on a podcast with Daisuke Matsusaka this winter and specifically say, I don't want to go to the Dodgers. I don't want to go to a place where there's a ton of Japanese players. I don't want to go. He said he wants to kind of forge his own path. Well, he got his wish because he's here and he's at a place that's never done this before. And he's at a place where he's having to forge his own path. And, as sympathetic as I am to him, just from on a personal level, just how difficult this must be, he had his pick of teams. Like, it's not as if he was forced to come here. It's not as if it was you have to come here or else. He's not here against his will. Like, he signed here. And so I think it's incumbent on him. It's incumbent on the Astros. It's incumbent on Imai's camp to find a way to make this work because they need him. Like, when he is like you saw his second start against the A's, like, he pitched very well. That's a good A's lineup. And he struck out 7 guys in 4 2/3 innings. Like, I mean, it's in there. Like, he didn't do what he did in MPB by accident. Like, he's a good pitcher. They've just got to find a way to get him comfortable and get him to a better place mentally and a better place in this country because they need him. This pitching staff needs any available arm it can get, and they need him in the worst way.
I would encourage them, based off of hearing that too, to maybe talk with a translator about finding a better way to go about relaying what he's saying, even if he's, as you'd mentioned for what's his name, Otto, the Spanish. Yeah, I mean, if he's speaking from the first person, at the very least, can we pull? I don't know if you've seen the TV show Shogun on Hulu, but there's a couple of moments in that show where one of the characters is translating for this Englishman who's stranded in Japan, and there are multiple times where he's just shouting and screaming and looks like a psychopath, and she just says the engine is upset like that. I don't know. That's a start. From the sound of things, if you were like tipping your hand that much, or you're just like, oh yeah, he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that. Probably not great, but we'll see how it goes. I'm with you. I feel for him, and then I see the contract, and I think that's how a lot of Astros fans are going to feel. Now, God, we haven't even talked about some of the arms who aren't here. Between Josh Hader, Hunter Brown, and Christian Javier, who are we going to see first this year?
I'd probably say Hader. Don't feel great about it, but I'd probably say Hader, only because relievers, obviously, they don't have to do a full buildup. Like, he has to build up to being able to throw one inning or, 30 to 35 pitches. Like, so inherently, it's going to take less time than Hunter Brown, who's got to build up by, bulk outings. He's got to make multiple outings to build his pitch count, things like that. But the problem is, like, I don't know what a closer is going to do for this team. Like, for Josh Hader to be effective, for Josh Hader to have any, high value to this team, they have to hand him a lead. They have to hand him a lead in the ninth inning. And I don't know if they have the pitching infrastructure right now to consistently do that, to hand him a lead in the ninth inning. He'll help, don't get me wrong. Like, they won't have to rely on Angel De Los Santos or Brian King or AJ Bluebach, Highway Tang. Like, those guys would move down a rung in the pecking order, which is good. But they need they need Hunter Brown back in the absolute worst way. They need him. They need that one guy every fifth day that you go to the ballpark and you'll use two relievers tops. He'll get you into the sixth inning, get you probably into the seventh inning, and keep you in the game, give you a chance to win. There's such a mental and almost physical too. Like, there's such a reassurance about that when you've got that guy, and they don't have that guy. And it's really, like, honestly, when you look at the spiral of this, when you look at the trajectory of this season, you really can trace it back to that Sunday morning in Sacramento when they surprised us and sent out that that Hunter Brown's on the IL with a shoulder strain. They lost that game in extra innings Sunday. They went and got swept at Coors Field in 3 games, then went and lost 4 in a row in Seattle. And they've really struggled to recover since. You kind of look at that as kind of a turning point.
Between Dana Brown, Joe Espada, a lot of pressure on both because they're in a contract year. And as we've talked about many times before, the Astros fired a general manager after they'd won the World Series. So I guess if you have to pick between the two, who's under more pressure? I would say, looking at it from my perspective, Espada can really only manage the lineup. If you're Dana Brown, you wonder, okay, how the hell do I add to this roster given all the injuries and given that I'd imagine the farm system is still considered pretty low caliber compared to most around baseball. So who would you say between those two is under more pressure to stick around past this season?
I don't think you can pick. I think it's both. I don't want to be so forceful about this because I don't have this nailed down 100%. I don't want to speak out of my ass, but it really feels like it's a package deal, right? Like, it kind of feels like if you're going to get rid of one, like, you kind of have to get rid of the other one, right? Like, if you get rid of Dana Brown and bring in a new GM, you're cutting that GM, you're undercutting that GM by forcing him to work with a manager that he or she did not hire. If you get rid of Joe Espada, then you're acknowledging that Dana Brown made a mistake in hiring Joe Espada, and you kind of wonder where it goes from there. When I look at this season and I look at kind of the state of how things got here, like, I do not, and you could disagree with me, Paul. I don't know. Like, I don't watch this team, and I have not watched the last 3 teams that Joe Espada has managed and seen like that's a poorly managed team. Like, I do not think this team is poorly managed. I do not think there is a manager on earth that could come into this situation, given the injuries and given how poorly some of these guys are performing, and turn this around. Like, I think Joe is doing the best he can with the roster that he has. He does not make the roster. That's the general manager's job. With Dana, we mentioned it earlier, the 6 pitching acquisitions this winter, it has not gone well. They have an ERA over 5.
No outfielder either, and you had that Bryce Matthews feature where you're talking about.
And look, I hate it for Bryce. I hate it for Bryce because I didn't want that story to be about him. But when you're in a year like Dana Brown is in, everything is going to be scrutinized. That was always going to be the case coming into the season when you knew he was in the last year of his contract. Same with Joe Espada. So when there's a managerial decision in the next couple weeks that you don't agree with or that can be questioned, it's going to be a bigger deal than just a normal manager that makes a difficult decision, because he's in the last year of his deal. So it's going to be a bigger story. But it's a tough look. Just the optics are not good when the first pick of your tenure is right now he's not a major league player. At best he's a bench bat on a major league team. And this is a 24-year-old kid that's taken 998 minor league plate appearances. This is not somebody that they have rushed. This is not somebody that is here before, he's had enough time to develop. Like, he's had more than enough. And it's just, and this is not about Bryce Matthews. Like, I don't want people to hear this and say, oh, they didn't develop Bryce Matthews, so Dana Brown's getting fired. Like, no, that's not, but it's just when you're in a season like this, when you're in a make or break season, optics matter and looks matter, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good that Walker Yannick right now is almost the same age as Bryce Matthews, about to be 24, just got to AA and is hitting like 140. Like, he had a great spring training, but I mean, he's hitting 140 in AA. Like, Dana was brought here to revitalize the farm system. That's what he does, right? He is a scout, a player evaluator, a talent evaluator. And this farm system is as bad now, if you believe the public metrics, if you believe the public outside rankings, this farm system is as bad now as it was when he got here. Now, is that all his fault? No, he had to make some trades. He had to, he had his first year, he had to go get Justin Verlander and give up Ryan Clifford and Drew Gilbert. Those guys, I mean, Drew Gilbert's now a 4th outfielder with the Giants, and Ryan Clifford's a pretty good prospect in the Mets organization. Like, they've had to do some stuff and give up guys in trades that have thinned the farm system even more. But at the end of the day, results are results. Like, Jim Crane parted ways with the GM after he won a World Series. Like, I don't think he's going to be looking for excuses as to why the farm system's still bad, or as to why they're, on the outside looking in if they don't make the playoffs again. So it's hard for me to look at one guy and say, like, he's under more pressure than the other one. I think it's kind of an equal thing here.
And bringing it back to Jim Crane, how much is this on the window is always open, man? Because he's the one signing the checks. And look, to what you had said earlier, I mean, the Astros have spent a pretty good amount of money, maybe not as much as Boston or some of these other teams that are underachieving, but they are still putting a pretty good amount of money into this payroll. And there have been some real misfires over the last couple of years. And while I think that Jim Crane wants everyone, and you would know this better than me, but I think he wants everyone to believe that, like, hey, I'm not as hands-on as I was during the Letterman Jacket, Skull and Bone Society days of him and Bagwell and Reggie Jackson and everybody, maybe being a little bit too hands-on compared to James Click being in there. But at the same time, like, it's hard to imagine that he is completely pushing his chair back and letting all of this happen without meddling at all. That's just his nature.
No, you're not wrong. Like, yeah, I mean, he's involved. Come on. Like, is it as heavy-handed as, when he was running baseball operations after the 2022 season, after he, in between Click and Dana? Like, it's not that heavy-handed, but he's involved. Like, come on. How much blame does he deserve? So with the position that they're in, and they're at this weird crossroads, you can pick one of two ways to go. You can spend your way out of it, which, while they have spent money, this is not a team that's ever going to go win a free agent bidding war. If you wanted insurance for losing Framber Valdez, you know what you do? You go sign Rangers Flores, or you go sign Dylan Cease. He ain't paying guys $180 or $210 million like those guys got. You either spend your way out of it. This is still an owner that has never guaranteed a player more than $151 million, and that was Jose Altuve, the face of his franchise. He's never given a contract longer than 5 years in free agency or 6 years as an extension. So that's one thing. Or you just say, F it, we're going to rebuild. We're not necessarily a Jeff Luhnow rebuild of tear it down to the studs and be a 115 loss team, but you trade some value from your major league roster, you build the farm system back up, and then you retool and you're ready to contend again in a year or 2 years. He's already on record multiple times saying that that's not happening, that the window's never closing as long as he's here. So if you're not going to spend your way out of it and you don't want to rebuild or retool or whatever the hell they'll call it if they have to do it, I don't know where that leaves Dana. I don't know where that leaves the front office, because I wrote this story about Cam Smith last week about, their window to extend him is closing. One thing that Dana gets a lot of heat for, and rightfully so, is that, when he got here, there was the big talk about they're going to extend everyone, right? Did it in Atlanta, so we're going to do it here. And that's led to Christian Javier getting a $65 million extension and Jose Altuve's extension that was pretty self-explanatory as to why that happened. That didn't require any expert GMing to sign the face of the franchise to another contract. I don't know that I can blame Dana as much for a lot of that stuff, because it ain't his money. He's got it's not his money he's given over. If it was his money, I'm pretty sure they may have had a couple of these done. But I think where the problem lies is twofold. One, it's that they have these self-imposed parameters of what they are willing to spend and the years they're willing to give. And I will say it's worked, right? You can't say it hasn't worked. They've been to the playoffs 8 of the past 9 years. All these self-restrictions and not giving contracts as long, it's all worked. You just wonder how much longer it's going to work. And the problem is with Cam Smith, with even Jeremy Pena, with Kyle Tucker, you've got to get these things done early. If they want to keep if Jim Crane wants to keep his set of parameters in terms of contract length, contract value, things like you have to take some gambles on guys. You have to look what they should have done, in my opinion, what they should have done. The minute they decided last spring that Cam Smith was going to make the opening day roster, they should have given him an extension. The minute they decided it. And you know what? If he comes up here and he flops, well, you know what? That's just part of it. That's part of the risk you take. But now he's come up here and it hasn't been all great, but you've seen the flashes of this kid can be a superstar. This kid can be the next face of the Astros core if he puts it all together, and there have been stretches where he has. But every time he goes out there and keeps performing, the price is only going up, and it's going to get to a point where maybe he gets to the Kyle Tucker portion where he's too expensive. They can't get him, just like Jeremy Pena, just like, they tried with Hunter Brown, and now he's probably too expensive. It's been a kind of it's been a holistic failure, I think, in that regard, in terms of, again, we're back to optics and we're back to bad looks. It's a bad look when Dana Brown got here 4 years ago and all he could talk about was extensions. Everybody's getting extended. And Jim Crane, even when he's introducing him, talks about how great he is at player retention and retaining and extending their contracts. And now you look and he's in the last year of his deal and he's gotten 2 extensions done. One that, quite frankly, I don't know that I can give him credit for, on the Jose Altuve one, but he's gotten 1 extension done. And again, it's a tough look.
Well, let's end on some good news because everything's been tough to this point as the Astros are off to this rough start. And listen, I'm going to follow the good news up with a little hot takery. And it's not from me. I just want you to know it's not from me. But this man is hitting 347 with the 1245 OPS. He has 11 home runs. He has as many home runs as he has strikeouts. He also has 8 doubles. His name is Yordan Alvarez. And Chandler, do you think the Astros will trade Yordan Alvarez? I've seen the internet talking about it a lot. I mean,
look, I think first you'd have to tell me. I'd want to know first who's running the deadline. To be honest with you, because if they get to the thing that no one is saying out loud, that I think if this keeps going the way it's going, and we're in this same position record-wise and kind of morale and outlook-wise in a month and a half, there are 2 things that are happening this season that maybe mean more to this franchise than anything that happens on the field. It's the draft in July, where they have, I believe, 4 picks in the top 95. They have their biggest bonus pool in franchise history. They will have access to pools of talent that they have just not had in a very long time. And then they also have the trade deadline a month, about 3 weeks later. I think it's August 2nd this year. So I think 3 weeks later, they have the trade deadline. I think what they're going to have to ask themselves is, what Jim Crane specifically is going to have to ask himself is, if, again, this is if we get a month and a half from now and things are about like this and they're not, morale is not improved, the record is what it is, and it doesn't look like there is a legitimate chance for them to really contend for something. The question's going to have to be asked, like, who do you want running that? Do you want a general manager that you have already decided, at that point, maybe he has already decided that we're not going to renew his contract? Do you want that guy having influence in 2 massive things that happen?
wow.
And it's going to be a fascinating discussion. It's going to be a fascinating thing to talk about. As far as trading Yordan Alvarez, like, I mean, I think it's stupid, but like,
Okay, good.
it would be, but Paul, like, the Tigers listened on Tarek Skubal this winter. Like, it would be stupid not to listen. Like, you listen on everyone. Like, doesn't mean you do it. You can hang up after you listen. You don't have to say anything back. You can hang up after you listen, but it would be foolish if they are selling. If they make themselves sellers, it would be foolish not to listen. Now, no. Should they do it? No, of course not. They should extend him before they trade him, because he's only got 2 more years left on this extension. They should give him a new extension before they trade him. But again, if you get to a point where you're selling at the deadline and you decide that it is going to be like a full reset, a full step back, he is what you would get the most for. Like, that's obvious. No. Should they do it? No. Should they listen? It would be dumb not to. Please don't clip that and put that on every social channel.
So doing it, dude.
Oh,
You know
my
it. I'm gonna do it so dishonestly too.
Oh no.
Well, at the very least, and speaking of the socials, the Astros should consider opening the roof a little bit more to make sure that there's no fireworks smoke that gets Yordan out. Because at this point, this fucking season, that seems like that's the next thing likely to happen. Chandler, before you go, you got a couple of things coming out in The Athletic, and of course, you got the Crush City Territory podcast. You do with Tyler Stafford and occasionally Josh Reddick. What you got cooking?
Yeah, so we'll have a story very soon about why the Astros don't open the roof, maybe comparing it to other teams that do open the roof. So I worked on it.
This city has 2 stadiums that never open the fucking roof.
I worked on it with a colleague, Sam Blum, and Sam did yeoman's work reaching out to the Diamondbacks, the Brewers, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Marlins, all of these teams that have retractable roofs and open them. And all of them were very forthcoming and really were able to, articulate, like, this is why we do it. This is why we don't want to do it. All got official statements and everything. the Astros made no one available to speak on their decision making. They referred us to their website that has all the stipulations as to when they'll open it and everything. The most hilarious part, the official website still calls Dyken Park Minute Maid Park. So we had to put that in the story that they haven't updated the site to reflect that the ballpark changed its name 16 months ago. But it's pretty incredible when you look at it. So we scanned as much data as we could. They have opened the roof since the end of the 2022 season. They have opened the roof twice for a regular season game.
Wow. And yeah, remember they had the postseason openings where Aaron Boone wasn't happy about it.
Well, that's like MLB steps in the postseason, they decide.
Yeah.
But for reference, like the Astros have opened it twice since the end of the 2022 season in the regular season. The Rangers this season have opened it for 3 of their first 9 home games.
Wow.
And I get it. Like Houston and Dallas aren't in the same location. Like I get it. Like the weather's not the same everywhere, but come on.
It's been pretty nice this month.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, I talked to a couple players. Christian Walker said he would want it open.
So there you go. That was Chandler Roman. I had some editing issues here. So I think it cut out a little bit before it was supposed to. And obviously we had some issues playing the thing. But guess what? I'm back doing a show again. Okay? Got a real job now. Spent most of today working that real job. You know, working for the man. Selling things. Not drugs. That's illegal. But big thanks to Chandler Rome. We'll post a version of that on the channel a little bit later because I know I did not have that as one of the titles on the video. So we are watching along the NFL draft. The Steelers are about to make their pick. Once again, Roger Goodell has children up there as shields from all the boos he's getting. Come on! Let me hear it! The way he says that is just so damn creepy. The Texans, at least as things currently stand, have the 28th pick in the draft. As far as things that are actually taking place in the draft, let's roll through it. Gotta update the TikTok so that there we go. There we go. And do we have things back to normal on the vertical camera as well? No, we do not. We do not, Paul. There we go. Okay. So as far as things that have happened in the draft, I take a great deal of pride in how little I know about prospects going into the draft. I'm never going to learn about what these guys are or aren't supposed to do at the next level before they actually get the opportunity to do that. I understand there are a lot of people out there who fancy themselves draft experts, and some of them actually know what they're talking about and they put in the work. But as I have grown older, I have realized what a futile endeavor that is. Futile. To go and try to watch all these prospects and actually act like you know what's going to happen and what's not going to happen at the next level. So what the hell has happened to this point? All right. Well, let's run through it. First off, Fernando Mendoza is a Las Vegas Raider. Everyone knew that was going to come. Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, went 3rd overall. Some were surprised by that. He is a running back after all. I think that's on brand for the Cardinals. And we're talking about the things that I think are most interesting. David Bailey went to the Jets. He'll be bad there because it's the Jets. Carnell Tate, the Titans, in their new, not at all exact replica of the Houston Oilers uniforms, took him. People think this was a surprising pick. They don't have any receivers, though. So I get it. Giants took a linebacker. Chiefs traded up to take a cornerback. Commanders took a linebacker. Saints took a receiver. Utah took a tackle. Giants took a tackle. If you were hoping the Texans would take a tackle, that's 2 off the board. Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety, might be the best player in the draft. He's a Cowboy now. 12th, you got another tackle, Caden Proctor, going to the Dolphins. 13, Ty Simpson to the Rams. Okay, that's a fun one. I bet everyone's going to glaze that pick because the Rams made it. Is everyone going to all of a sudden say Dan Orlovsky was right with all the people that were jumping down his throat for thinking that Ty Simpson is better than Fernando Mendoza? Who knows? One of the guys that I broke down, thanks to the help of Lance Zierlein's unintentionally erotic scouting reports, Vega Ione, and I would have just drafted him because it sounds Simone. He could have been a terrible player. I would have drafted him anyway. He went to the Ravens, and that pick will get glazed as well. Linebacker to the Bucks. I don't know much about Ruben Bain Jr. I saw Ryan Lost in Texas saying, thank God he's out of the conference. Okay, sure. Kenyon Sadiq, the best tight end out of Oregon. He is a Jet, so again, that'll be a disaster. Another tackle off the board. Blake Miller of Clemson goes to the Lions. The Lions are doing a lot of work on tackle before the draft. That's one of the few things I know. Defensive tackle, Caleb Banks to the Vikings. And offensive tackle, lots of tackles to this point. To the Panthers, receiver to the Eagles. Another tackle to the Steelers. And an edge rusher to the Chargers. The Cowboys are on the clock after the Chargers just made their pick. So you're looking for trends. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tackles have been taken in the first 22 picks. So basically a third of the picks thus far have been tackles. And if you want to add a guard into the mix, it's been a third of the picks thus far. Offensive linemen. You've seen 2 quarterbacks go off the board. That's fun. As far as things that I've noticed as we wait for the Texans to make a pick, and don't worry, we'll talk about the thing you all want me to talk about. Everyone is wearing sunglasses at night. Why? Why is everyone wearing sunglasses at night? Does anyone know? I'm looking up the lyrics to the Corey Hart song. Is there anything that hints at why a National Football League player in the year of our Lord 2026 might decide to wear sunglasses at night? I wear my sunglasses at night so I can have an awkward hug with Roger Goodell. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can make sure no one knows that I am high. Because backstage I took a hit. They didn't think there was anything wrong with it. And now I am high as balls and Roger Goodell's there. How low should my hands be when I go in for a hug? Should I perhaps grab Roger Goodell on the butt? We improv'd. That was totally out of my ass there. But everyone's wearing sunglasses. Everyone's wearing sunglasses. Ryan Lost in Texas says because their future is so bright. You know what? That's true. Very true. AJ on TikTok says this year's NFL draftees look too soft. I mean, I don't know. I don't like to call professional athletes soft unless they're flopping. Like, sorry to be racist, an Italian soccer player, and or they're the worst about it. Those Italian soccer players, and in basketball as well. Like that's soft, but I don't know. I do think, though, wearing glasses inside at night, like for me, if I ever wear glasses, it's either because I'm doing a remote radio show by myself and I don't want anyone to talk to me mid-thought, which happens all the time. Doing radio, I hated doing shows out and about Nothing against you guys. It's just, hey, I'm talking and some random person comes up to me. They don't have a microphone attached to them, and they would say, "Hey, are you here? Are you here? Are you here? Hey, are you here? Yes, I'm here. I'm here." Fucking happens all the goddamn time. Anyway, I know what you guys want me to talk about. You want me to talk about Mike Vrabel. You want me to talk about Diana Rousini. I did touch on it in the last show, but I also did not announce when that show was going to go on the air. So I'm assuming that there are some people who did not actually see my take on that very, very important matter. My computer's being a little bit slow, so I'm going to continue to filibuster and actually X out of some apps and such, you know, just a few. I think my chat GPT's slowing everything down in the background. So, first off, if you didn't listen to the show earlier in the week, I have known about this rumor for a pretty long time. I don't remember when I first heard about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rousini shacking up, but for those who don't know, there's a lot of chatty Cathys in our industry. And while they're probably a little bit concerned about getting their ducks in a row and putting out a story without being able to corroborate it with facts, like that's one of the reasons why they all keep it to themselves and they don't report this news, even though, I mean, you know, you're the one who breaks this. I'm sure you're getting a little bit of a bonus or something like that. And this has been the biggest story in the NFL for the last couple of weeks now, and we've got an NFL draft happening at this moment in time. But they keep it to themselves as far as not publishing it. Everyone talks about this shit. Everyone. There are no real secrets amongst the top media types. And if you're a public figure, just a word of advice. If you think you're going to get away with having an extramarital affair, good luck. And I say that sarcastically because you're going to get caught eventually. People take pictures of anyone that they think looks like a celebrity now. So imagine you're out and about canoodling with someone. Say your hand's up a girl's butt, like you're Urban Meyer at a bar in Jacksonville. You don't think that's going to get out? By the way, there were rumors about Urban Meyer at Florida and the fun that he had there, allegedly. Again, these are rumors. You're going to get caught. I do think that if you want to pat Rousini and Vrabel on the back for blowing their families up, it's that they were able to somehow keep this relatively on the DL for a while. Oh, wait. Have you seen all of the clips of Diana Rousini talking about her husband, Mike Vrabel, herself, for Christ's sake, her son's name? You cannot get away from random Diana Rousini clips where she is talking about something personal, and if you really want to read between the lines, you could probably infer something from these random comments she'd make. I mean, there's no coming back for her. It's over. Like, I'm wondering if Kalshi's going to have a bet on, will she start an OnlyFans? Will she go to Belize? Like, I'm waiting for some scummy website like that to take that on. This is one of those situations where you would think, just given how this works, that the head coach would face some responsibility as well, accountability as well. because this makes the league look bad. But this is just about as far as the NFL was willing to address it on the flagship show of their offseason. I don't know how many people saw that Mike Greenberg sat down with Goodell right before the draft went down. Let me see if I can get this up. For some reason, when you click on a link, it requires you to log in even if you are already logged in. But I had a link available that showed the transcript of Goodell talking to Mike Greenberg. We can't play it, of course, because we'll get copyright struck. Greenberg says to Goodell, when asked about the situation with Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, he has announced that he will not be with the team on Saturday. He'll instead be with his family and plans to seek counseling. Greenberg's response continues, actually. I don't know why. What? Gosh, some of these artificial intelligence things. This is my fault for not reading this before. But Greenberg continues to Goodell. The league has suggested this is not a violation of the personal conduct policy. I want to make sure that I'm getting this exactly right. As of this point, based upon what you know right now, this does not feel like a situation for the league to become involved in. So that's the tough question that Greenberg asks. You can see why Greenberg is on every single show because of the really tough investigative journalism questions that he throws out there. Goodell's response to Greenberg, 1010110101, 1010110101. Goodell's actual response, he is a robot after all. Come on! Let me hear it! Like he did at the beginning of the draft. This is not a personal conduct policy. As we know today, it's a personal matter. And we'll leave it at that. Well, hang on. It's personal conduct. It's not personal. What are you talking about? And I'm a Patriots fan. What are you talking about? Everyone knows about this. This is all anyone's talking about. I mean, you could lean into it if you really wanted to keep the news cycle juicy. Because I don't know if anything's happening between now, pick 24. The Browns just made a pick. And the end of the draft, that's going to be fun. More from Goodell. They have a lot more information that can benefit everyone involved. How? What? Who's benefiting from this? The only person benefiting from this is probably Dianna Russini's husband, who many believe had hired some sort of private investigator to keep tabs on Rousini and Vrabel. But the kids ain't winning. I've seen some, juicy rumors about Rousini and about Vrabel over the last 24 hours, and I feel so bad for those kids. Vrabel's kids, Rousini's kids. A home that gets torn apart sucks. As someone who's been through it, I ended up living in a different state than my dad and my sister about it. No cheating involved in this one, but it was a messy situation, and my parents still talk about it today. So I feel awful. Their lives are going to be changed forever. I'm so envious of people who have normal families that have stayed together. I suppose that's not really normal anymore, but I mean, truly, and I think this is the safest take to have on the whole situation. I really feel bad for all the kids involved here. Here's what we know about the situation, just based off of the timeline and internet sleuthing. March 11 of 2020, photos were taken of them kissing and all over each other at Tribeca Tavern Bar in New York City. Okay, this is right, if I'm not mistaken, right as everything was shutting down during the pandemic. That's fucking stupid. But it's probably why so many people, myself included, were aware of these rumors years ago. Timeline continues. January 31st, 2024. Photo via TMZ of them smiling together at the Beau Rivage Casino in Biloxi, Mississippi, weeks after the Titans fired Vrabel. Then, of course, in late March, the resort photos taken, holding hands, hugging, hot tub, poolside breakfast. April 7th, Page 6 publishes the photos. Both deny the romance and call it innocent. It's a group trip with friends to Sedona, which I think is out of the way. It's not really near like Glendale or Phoenix or anything like that. Shout out to the private investigator for Rousini's husband, if this is actually what happened, and I don't know, trying to get every single dollar he can. This is America, baby. Make money off of those photos. April 10th, The Athletic launches an investigation into Rousini's relationship with Vrabel. She's sidelined. April 14th, Rousini resigned from The Athletic. April 21st, the first public statement from Vrabel, where basically he throws Rousini's attempt to deny under the bus, acknowledging difficult conversations with his family, the organization, coaches, and players, vowing to be the best version of himself. Late yesterday, Vrabel announced he's seeking counseling, including family counseling, and will miss day 3 of the NFL draft, where the Patriots have, I think, the majority of their picks. He apologized to Patriots players. So how does the counseling work when you've been cheating on your significant other for nearly over half a decade, maybe even further back than that? How does the counseling help? I love it when people go to counseling and then I think the idea is, oh, it's going to be fine on the other side. Like Puka Nacua, he went to rehab and his agent, his PR team made sure as quickly as they possibly could to say, yeah, he's going to rehab. Okay, well, what happens at the rehab? Is he going to get better? Is it really all about the drugs? Perhaps he's stupid. Who would have thought? A guy making bad decisions might be a fucking idiot. You know? So, to bring it back, what do you go to counseling for again? Remember when John Morant went to Florida for some counseling? Remember that? Oh, I needed help. I got a real problem. I keep on taking guns out on Instagram Live. Fuck, man. I just can't stop. Oh, boy. More in the Rousini-Vrabel drama. Page 6 shows the 2020 New York City kissing photos. Oh, boy. This is where it all went to shit for Rousini. Vrabel holds an additional press conference today. He issued a new statement addressing the latest photos, his actions, the distraction caused, confirming his commitment to counseling and family. The Patriots released a supportive statement backing Vrabel's decision to prioritize family and well-being. But football's family. What are we doing? Football's family. Vrabel's with his family. He's with football. And he's allegedly so with his football family that he's getting down and dirty with NFL insiders. Allegedly. Family. Hashtag family. And Rousini deleted her account, which I don't blame her. I know this is going to be really tough for her. It does seem like people like her as a person. I've heard a lot of people speaking praises of her as a person. Obviously, her journalistic credibility is probably gone. I'm not going to lie, though. I mean, if I could sleep with a coach to get a scoop, I would. I have a girlfriend now, so it's a little different. Sorry, babe. I know you're watching. Almost a year. So close. A year plus since our first date. How about that? We made it. We're doing it. But before I met the love of my life, is it out of bounds for me to, try to get a source? And I mean, for comparison's sake, and I know some people are going to get mad at me for this, but how is, other than, blowing up the family part, that part, and the other family blowing up too, the two families blowing up, other than that, little thing. I mean, how much worse is this just shameless post by Jordan Schultz, Nepo baby reporter? I don't know if people saw this. Sources. Teams have called the Texans to check on two-time Pro Bowl receiver Nico Collins with an understanding of the league that he needs a contract adjustment. I don't know. He got injured and missed a playoff game. Does he need a contract adjustment? He has a very flexible contract. It seems highly unlikely Houston would deal him, but teams have checked. Collins will make $20.6 million this year when the wide receiver market is double that. Receivers are making $40 million a year? Oh, no. What are the Texans going to do? This is a guy trying to get a raise. Shout out to Nico Collins' agent for going through the right avenues. As the Houston Texans have traded up, I guess they are next on the clock. How about that? But a post like that, shameless. Is it that much different than sleeping with your source? At the very least, seducing your source, that takes skill, right? There's got to be some skill involved there. So let's see what the Houston Texans did to move up to pick number 26. They're on the clock after the most recent pick. The Bears took a safety. Moving up 2 spots, swapping with the Buffalo Bills. I'm looking to see if there's any information on what the Texans traded to move up. As my cat meows along in the background, this is Nick Casario's 25th draft trade in the last 5 years. The Texans trade the Bills 2 of their top 4 picks. They have 4 picks in the top 69. They trade pick 28, 28 and pick 69, nice, and 167 for pick number 26 and pick number 91. So we're talking about moving up in the first and getting a 3rd round pick, late 3rd round pick back in exchange for an early 3rd round pick, a 1st round pick, and I'm guessing that's a 5th or a 6th round pick. So the trade for the Texans, they send the Bills pick 28, 69, and 167 for pick 26, which they're on the clock with, and 91. They still have more picks to make tomorrow. 4 picks again in the top 69. 2 2nd-round picks they'll have to work with. Dolphins just moved up right behind the Houston Texans. I'm looking to see if anyone has said anything about what the Texans have done. I'll react to that, then I got a couple of Houston-based stories afterwards. If you wanted the Texans to take an Aggie, there's some Aggie offensive linemen available. Still looking. I can't find anything. But the Texans are on the clock. And now we wait. Now we wait. Should we play a song? Should we play a song? I got a song for y'all. I have a song for y'all. You might have never heard it before, but...
Well, it's finally here. I've been waiting all week just to kick this thing off. I've been rocking away on the edge of my seat. Now I'm ready to roll. Here they come to mix things up. Let your boots go. Texans. Get up and scream. It's football time in Houston.
By the way, I cannot get away from memes about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rousini. There's a picture of Tony Soprano, the scene where he's like Caesar having relations with a strong, powerful, independent Italian woman. The pick is in. Let's see what the Houston Texans are going to do with pick number 26. I would assume interior offensive lineman. Greg Todd says guard or guards. All right. Guard Kalen Rutledge. Wait. Is this the guy with the awesome hair? Texans drafting interior offensive line with their first pick. Definitely something that would make you a little bit concerned given the Texans draft history. They're showing highlights right now of Kalen Rutledge. See, we're great here. We're great. We know the draft. They're showing highlights of Kalen Rutledge on TV. He's a finisher. He's got a physical style. And I would imagine that he is another player that is consistent with the shift that the Texans are trying to make on the offensive line, where they are trying to bring in bruisers and maulers and to be more of a power running team to complement CJ Stroud, perhaps help him set up deep play action fakes, which haven't really been effective the last couple of years, given that the Texans cannot run the football. So maybe things will be different this time around. Let's see if we can find some highlights of Kalen Rutledge. And we're going to react to them in real time. Because I'll be honest, I'd never heard of this guy until today. He plays at Georgia Tech. What can I tell you about Georgia Tech? Randomly had a lot of good wide receivers, considering that, you know, they were like the wing T for a while. Let's see. What does Kalen Rutledge bring to the table? Oh, he played against Syracuse this year. How did he do? Didn't score a touchdown there. Kalen Rutledge. Ooh, a pull block. Ooh, nice. Hell yeah, dude. That's a pull block. You know, there's some people out there that study this, and these are all his like positive highlights. Yeah, he didn't drop that pass. Looks like Georgia Tech sucks. That was a wide open touchdown pass. There he is. Hell yeah, nice pull blocker. Let's go. Oh yeah, look at this offensive lineman film. Another pull, and he knocked that guy in his ass / front. Okay. Good at pulling. Likes to go downfield. I like how that linebacker right there tried to lean into it so it would look like he's getting held. I'm bored by this already. But there you go, guys. There you go. The breakdown that you're not going to get anywhere else on Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. What else do we know about Kalen Rutledge? Let's take a look at what Lance Zierlein of NFL.com had to say about him. Per NFL.com, Rutledge has a prospect grade of 6.29. That means that he theoretically eventually could be an average starter. He is the most athletic guard per the combine. So that's nice. Played a couple of years at Middle Tennessee State before transferring to Clemson in 2024. His foot almost got taken off in a car accident while on the way to visit Clemson after entering the transfer portal. And this past year, he was third-team All-American and first-team All-ACC. Guy played in a lot of games. 11 games his freshman year or his first year. 6 starts 11 starts his second year, 13 starts his third, 13 starts his fourth. Seems to be durable. Zerline projected him as a round 2 pick and compared him to someone named Sean Ryan, but like Rhyan. Says Lance of Kalen Rutledge. Rutledge is a burly, experienced right guard with excellent contact pop and a rugged field demeanor that will appeal to offensive line coaches. Okay, I wonder how much power Cole Popovich, the Texans offensive line coach, has. If you listen to SNL, Landry and Cody, they constantly talk about how he is Cole Popovich, a guy with more power than you would think most offensive line coaches have. I think Landry calls him King Cole. More on Kalen Rutledge from Lance Zerline. He excels as a drive/combo blocker where he displaces defenders, but he has the athleticism to operate in all run blocking concepts. He understands technique, but suffers from occasional rough patches due to inconsistent balance and body control. His pass protection range is average, and edge leakage, you got to get that looked at, could be a concern against NFL athletes. Rutledge has the toughness to earn a role as a good backup with starting potential. His strengths: burly, strong, exceptionally tough, works with smoothness and timing on combo blocks up to linebackers, generates knockback pop, creates movement on double teams, sustains blocks for as long as possible, and gets his licks in at the end of the rep. Gets into his pass sets with ready hands to unload on the target. Punches with purpose, good force in his hands. Maintains hand connection when moving with rush attempts on his edge. I don't know what the fuck that means. Weaknesses: leaning and lunging into pass punch creates early losses for him. He struggles to sink a sudden anchor when bull rush gets an early lead. His recovery ability is subpar due to tight hips and heavy feet. He's inconsistent with his base width and inside hands as a run blocker. Below average body control and contact balance. Has issues tagging moving targets cleanly in small spaces. Okay. So think about it from the perspective of the Texans and what you are hoping that your offensive line is going to look like given some of the moves that you made this offseason. Ariante Ursary is your left tackle, at least for now. Jake Andrews is your center. You bring in Wyatt Teller. You've got Ed Ingram. I'm imagining Ingram's right guard again and Wyatt Teller's left guard. And then you got Braden Smith at right tackle. You're drafting an offensive lineman in the first round, and you don't necessarily have to plug him in right away. He has to earn his spot as a starter. That's the luxury you have after a year purging out the final elements of the Texans' soft finesse and expensive offensive line of yesteryear, moving into what you have now. I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea. I give the Texans credit for getting slightly better on the offensive line last year. They did. They were actually better. And that brings us to a controversial take that I had on KHOU, stands for Houston, as part of Sports Extra. You see this, guys? Hear about this? Was there anything that the Texans could have done tonight to make you excited? Seriously, was there anything that they could have done that really would have got you going, given you a little pants tent? Hang on. That's what happens when you mute your tabs.
Future stars are found all over the NFL draft, but Texans fans just want someone who can blank right away. Texans fans just want someone who can blank right away.
Not be CJ Stroud. I mean, I think right now this is the unfortunate elephant in the room. We've seen Stroud at his best. but most recently we saw Stroud at his worst. And how do you get that image that's burned into your brain of how poorly he played, especially in the first half against the Patriots or against the Steelers, that awful interception he threw? That's, I think, what everybody's looking for right now. Someone who gives you confidence to beat the AFC Blue Bloods.
Not be CJ Stroud is your answer.
Much, yeah.
I mean, you're not excited about this coming season unless it's somebody other than CJ Stroud that you think has more upside. That's the sad reality about where the Texans are right now. It sucks. One offensive lineman, is that going to make things better for Stroud this coming season? There was nothing they could have done today that was going to make you feel all that much better about what they are offensively going into the year. You got questions about Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator. You got questions about the weapons not named Nico Collins, what happens when they go down. You got questions about how much better the offensive line can get. It did improve last year for what it's worth, which is why I'm going to go back to that take that I had. Some people compared me to Jeremy Branham having that take. Listen, I'm not the master of getting a reaction on the way that Branham is. That's just how I honestly feel. I think most Texans fans who watched the last two games are close to out on CJ Stroud. This isn't changing that. I'm seeing some people talk about, they had to trade up 2 picks to get him. Listen, man, I don't mind moving up a couple of picks if you like somebody. That's the reality of the draft. If you start taking a look at this is too much capital to give up. I mean, the market is in the eye of the person you're making the trade with. And if you think that there's someone who could potentially trade and get in front of you to get your guy, like what happened with the Texans when they wanted Tyler Lockett back in 2015, I'm of the belief. And then the Seahawks traded up in front and they got Lockett, and the Texans ended up with Jalen Strong and it didn't work out so well. You don't want that shit to happen. So I have no problem with trading up to go get that guy. None. I see some people are upset about it. I'm sorry. I kind of think you're a dork if you're getting mad about draft picks to move up a couple of picks. They still have, based off of my draft math, I believe 2 second-round picks and now a later third-round pick to work with. So you moved up 2 spots and you moved back, 20 picks in the third round? Is that really that big of a deal? Or are you just looking for something to get mad at without actually having a clue about what the difference in 20 picks in the third round could potentially be? Third round's where it starts to become a crapshoot, as if it wasn't a crapshoot already, even in the first round, So there you go. All right. Coffee Whiskey says the Patriots took the dude I thought the Texans would take. Sure. Jason Wagner says they moved up 2 spots to take Juice Scruggs the sequel. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We'll see. You want hot draft takes? I ain't giving them to you, okay? God damn. 1.8 thousand people are watching SNL. Shout out to them. What else are we going to talk about tonight? I don't really care about the rest of the draft. Truly, I don't. Whatever. I want to talk about something that's driving me crazy as somebody who has changed careers. This is a goddamn outrage, and I'll admit it, I'm 100% jealous. Did anyone see that Houston Mayor John Whitmire has a podcast? Did anyone also see that this podcast, per Houston Public Media, is getting $60,000 in taxpayer funding? Most of the radio stations that I've worked for couldn't get me that for a year in base salary. A year! Which is why it's been a little bit easy to move from that field into the one that I'm starting now. A podcast with the mayor? Okay, Whitmire's not the most entertaining person. Tony Busby, he's got a little character to him. all these lawyers have podcasts now too. Everyone has a podcast. You have a podcast too, Paul. I know, but this is my fucking job for years. And now we got a goddamn mayor that's trying to break into the game. But it's not like the $60,000 are going to John Whitmire. They're going to the podcast production. Who's the host? Why didn't they bring me in? A lot of people, I think, believe that John Whitmire is a, would it be a dino? Democrat in name only, that he's a Republican or whatever like that? I'm a little conservative, not very conservative, especially these days. But, I mean, I'm in the middle of the road. Bring me in. I've got pizzazz. I've got the X Factor instead, and nothing against this guy. I've never met him, but honestly, my first reaction is, fuck him. Who is this guy? Owen Conflenti? Look at this fella. This is the guy who's the host of the podcast. He looks kind of like me, except for different hair, not as good as mine, and a lot more tan, which is not saying much. Former Channel 2 anchor Owen Conflenti. He's now working across podcast media and other projects in Houston. For nearly 2 decades, Owen Conflenti was a fixture on Houston mornings at KPRC2. I had no idea. I'd never heard of him until today, and now I'm mad at him. He left in November after 20 years at the station. A milestone he'd been quietly working towards. People who know me would tell you I always had a goal of 20 years. Must be nice. Must be nice. It must be nice to work at a place that'll give you, I don't know, let's just say 2 years. Paul, you sound like a psychopath right now. Whatever, bro. Whatever. It was exhausting. I'm thrilled to be spending more time with my family and sleeping. Sir, fuck you. I wanted a job doing that. Now you're getting a job. You're going to make $60,000 in taxpayer-funded money for a podcast called 901 Bagby inside the mayor's office, which debuted earlier this month on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube? What? Here's what Conflenti said. It's an opportunity for the mayor to speak at length and give more context to important issues, noting that sound bites and social media videos often limit the conversation. This is PR fluff. What, do you think Whitmire's going to let Conflenti ask him tough questions? No. So again, jealous 100%. Shout out to Conflenti. He's figuring a way to, first off, have a job for more than 2 years without some sort of changes like a fired co-host or a fired producer or a producer who leaves because they're not getting paid or a co-host who leaves for a better job. Like, it must be nice. 20 years doing TV with a teleprompter. No improv. No random songs being pulled out of his ass. Paul, you sound bitter. I am bitter. I am super bitter. He's beating me at life. He's a realtor and getting a taxpayer-funded podcast that's making $60,000 annually, at least. This is what my property taxes are going to. Is the content good at least? Let's take a look. I asked artificial intelligence to summarize these episodes. Let's see. Pilot episode. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I better be getting more views in these. They're about like 17 to 27 minutes, all of these. Pilot episode. Pilot. Shut the fuck up. Why Mayor Whitmire didn't run to have fun. Episode 2. Houston's $314 million recovery plan. Some of it's going to Lena Hidalgo's vacations. And national homelessness model. Homelessness? More like hopeless to solve. Episode 3, how Houston added 800 police officers without raising property taxes. Well, you still raise the property taxes for other shit. And then the latest episode, why Mayor Whitmire says he's voted against Abbott more than any living human. Well, okay, flex. Cool, bro. Highlights from episode 1. Whitmire explains his no-nonsense governing style. I didn't run to have fun. You win elections in between elections. Okay. Heavy emphasis on fixing problems rather than playing politics. While hosting a podcast that's funded by taxpayer money is kind of playing politics. Public safety progress. Record Houston Police Department staffing levels. Infrastructure wins. Broken water mains dramatically reduced. 1,900 to 400. Actually, that is progress. The World Cup's coming to town. Okay, but like, it's one of the biggest cities in the country. It was going to come here no matter what. Like, let's not give the World Cup committee that brought it here a lot of credit for probably being FIFA's cupbearer for a couple of weeks so that all those corrupt people can finally bang their wives and bring them on a vacation where everything's paid for. Episode 2 talks about Houston's recovery plan, national homelessness model. It's trying to become a national model, sure. There's no national model. The money just gets burnt as soon as it goes to homelessness because no one wants to do tough things with the homeless. Sorry, that's how it works. That's how it works. More from John Whitmire's taxpayer-funded podcast, which, fuck, why the hell am I not doing this? Again, I'm jealous. Whatever. Doobie-doop-doo-doo, scooby-doop-doo-wop, shibbly-dee-doop, doobity-doop. He discusses voting record. Okay, whatever. These episodes are short, conversational, and I'm jealous that this Conflenti guy got him. Oh, I'm a TV guy. TV guys don't have this. They don't have this. He's not this hot, even though he looks just like me. He actually can get a tan. Anyway. People are asking me what my job is. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can get funding from the city of Houston. I should have gotten the Gallant Says podcast funded. I should have done that. I should have gotten the Gallant Says podcast funded. Did anyone see what Lena Hidalgo did? Gotta say, a lot of credit. She deserves a lot of credit for this. Lena Hidalgo, our fearless mayor, check that, our fearless Harris County commissioner who is still in office, even though she said she's not running for re-election, and I guess thought that she was going to be moving on up to the White House or something like that. Lena Hidalgo went on a vacation last year to Paris and basically used, considering that Houston had a $140 million budget deficit at the time, about $43,000 to get her and 5 people to go to Paris for it was an economic mission. They were trying to draw people from Paris to come to Houston. No offense. I love Houston. I love this city. It is an eyesore and it is difficult to navigate. If you're going to Paris, you're not going there to lure people from Paris to Houston. You're just not. Sorry, not going to work. Who the fuck would want to come from Paris to Houston? Would you want to invest money in Houston industries? Okay, maybe. But is a $50,000 visit necessary? Who wants to hang with Lena? Who wants to hang with her? Have you seen all of the headlines about her in the last couple of years? She seems like she's not a fun hang. Let's agree on that. I don't even really care about her politics that much. I just know that I wouldn't want to be trapped next to her at a dinner table. So Whitmire, check that, not Whitmire. Lena had this happen, and this past week, you might have seen this, but she also went later last year to Taiwan and Japan. Her office released nearly 360 pages of documents after a public records request was made about those trips. The vast majority of those pages were heavily redacted, with entire sections blacked out, even though the Attorney General of Texas had ruled in March of this year that only personal contact information could be withheld. 360-page report, a lot of it redacted, already had an expensive trip to Paris. Now you have an expensive trip to Paris, to Taiwan, to Japan. Okay, where's this money coming from? We've got money for John Whitmire's fucking podcast. They got money for Lena Hidalgo to go on vacation. Where's my money? I clearly need to just put in a request with the city of Houston. I'm sure I'm going to get some money. So I'm going to do that. And let's wrap up things with a little bit of brain rot, okay? We've gone 2 hours. We hope that you've had some fun. But this is our city, everybody. This is the city we live in. How about you watch this with me, Aria? Okay? It's a very fun video, I think. I think that the children, they're really going to like it. It's really good. Yeah. Hey, come on. We're gonna watch some fun things. Okay? Look at this. This is, as you would expect, a party at a gas station, Houston gas station. I think this is by my place. What's going on? All right, you got two cars moving around. Oh, girl just ran by. She's not wearing pants. No one's really wearing pants here. A lot of ass out, a lot of cheeks. An SUV is driving, going in reverse, almost hits a couple of people. It's a Jeep. Is that a Grand Cherokee? Now some people who aren't wearing shirts are trying to get in. The door's open. The man keeps on driving forward. Now he's driving backwards. A lot of people are trying to get in. I don't know. Why are you moving near a moving vehicle? This lady's saying, I've had too much. People are watching. They're recording. They're coming closer. That girl's ass is all the way out. And now, I don't know what happened. Were there guns? Anyway, listen. I am not an expert on why, Aria, that people go to parking lots to hang out. I don't understand it. I'm never going to understand it. But gotta say, it keeps happening. And this is, I think, like right around the corner from me. Can we not? Can we stop with the parking lot hangouts that turn violent? Okay? That would be great. Anyway. Aria had some thoughts. Want to meow one more time? I know you've been trying to get out for an hour, but you're the idiot who came in here. I closed the door. You weren't supposed to come in here. You snuck in here and you've been stuck, and now you've been trying to bite my ankles and been meowing for like the last hour. That's your fault. That's on you. That's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. We appreciate everybody who stopped by. If you have any questions, get in touch with me, gallantsays@gmail.com. You can leave a voicemail or text message to 281-836-3912. We will be back on Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk about everything that the Houston Texans did in the draft. Pick number 26 after a trade up with the Buffalo Bills. They select Kalen Rutledge, a guard from Georgia Tech. They will wrap up the draft the rest of the weekend. We'll see if the Rockets are dead by weekend's end. Game 3 is Friday night. Do they play on Sunday? Off the top of my head, I don't know. We'll see if the Astros can stop the free fall. It's going to be tough, as we heard from Chandler a little bit earlier. Please support the show on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like and subscribe. Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a follow. I'd appreciate a sub. X and Twitter at Gallant Says Pod. Like and follow. Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Like and follow. Instagram at Sports Gallant. Like and follow. TikTok at Gallant Says. Like and follow. And of course, it's available after the fact in podcast form. Subscribe and 5-star me. Look for the Gallant Says podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Until Monday at 8 p.m. So long. Farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.